What is happening, yo? It's Super2 here, and it's been a while since I've done one of these type of videos, but I still would like to keep this series going. It's just from here on out, I'd like to dedicate these videos towards games that I can't exactly cover in depth on the channel, but I still would like to give my general thoughts on them out there. As per usual, I will be rating the game at the end of the video with a Spiny meter because I think it's funny, and I will be rating it out of 5. So without further ado, let's get right on into one of the most anticipated games over the past nearly decade at this point, which is insane to think about, and that is none other than Hollow Knight Silksong. Now, if you've been around the internet spaces for a while now, you would probably know that Silksong has been one of the most clamored for games ever since it was announced. Like, the amount of demand for this game to either release or to get some news on it has been so immensely high over the past 7 years or so. And while I wasn't exactly one of the people who was really fiending to play the game, I was definitely anticipating it myself just to see how they would follow up after an amazing game like Hollow Knight. And well, I just gotta say it up from right now, the wait was definitely worth it, because this game is honestly kind of unbelievable in a lot of aspects. Like, I didn't think that they would be able to take the concept of Hollow Knight and not only just expand upon it, but just completely flip it on its head. But the developers at Team Cherry managed to do just that, and you got what I would say is probably one of the best single-player experiences I've ever played personally. Now, granted, this is just what I'm saying from playing the game for roughly a week now, and even then, I haven't been able to play it as much as I would like to because of college. But from the amount that I have played, it's just incredible, man. There are definitely a couple things I would like to talk about the game in more detail, but I just gotta give props to Team Cherry for just kind of, sticking with their guts, just kind of doing their own thing, not exactly caving into like peer pressure and like either releasing the game early or like just, releasing stuff that they didn't feel like needed to be released. So yeah, let me just get right into some of the stuff that I would like to discuss, with the first one being this game's difficulty. Holy man, if you thought Hollow Knight was a difficult game, it pales in comparison to what they did with Silksong. Like, this game feels like it was made specifically for not only the Hollow Knight players, but just for anyone who just wanted an incredibly challenging game, either through its platforming or through its boss fights. And even just traversing throughout the world, it does not pull its punches whatsoever. Like, there will be a lot, and I mean a lot of times, where you will just be minding your own business, and then you just kind of die out of nowhere. Like, this game really takes no prisoners whatsoever, and I've been mentioning this to my friends, but I feel like this is kind of like a slight jab from Team Cherry to the people who have been like ravenously like craving for like Silksong, either its release or anything. And I'm not talking about, the people who just like, wanted some news or anything like that, that were being normal about it. I'm talking about like the people who were like complaining and all that. It's like, bro, why aren't we getting anything? Like, is this game dead? Like, I feel like Team Cherry just took it upon themselves. Was like, all right, you want the game? Here you go. And yeah, it is just such an experience to just go through and absolutely just get stomped on over and over and over again. Whether that be through some of the standard enemies or just some of the obstacles that are placed throughout the world. One of the things to note about this game compared to Hollow Knight is that everything hits you way harder. It is a lot more punishing if you are not on point with a lot of your decision making and movements. And it's something that I had to kind of grow accustomed to while I was playing through the game, because aside from the times where I was like completely dumbfounded at like what exactly they put in and thinking about like why is a lot of the stuff that was implemented like even a thing, I just kind of had to sit there and was like, you know what, this is the kind of game that it's gonna be, so I have to adjust my mindset accordingly to that. And I think if a lot of players do the same, then they'll find the experience to be a lot less frustrating and a lot more rewarding when they actually do succeed in a lot of the challenges that are placed in front of them. But I still gotta say, man, there are some absolutely dastardly stuff that the devs have put in the game. I'm not gonna talk about them in detail because for anyone who hasn't gotten the game yet, I would like you to experience that for yourself. And I guess as a side note, the gameplay in the background will most likely be from me just playing on a brand new save file, so it'll only cover the first, like, let's say 20 or so minutes of the game, depending on how long this video is, just so y'all don't get like spoiled on anything. So yeah, the game is absolutely worth buying. You should definitely get it. But yeah, this is certainly, if people are calling Hollow Knight the Dark Souls of 2D platformers, no, this game right here takes the cake for sure. But I will say, in spite of a lot of its difficulties, there is a lot of immense like gratification for either clearing certain bosses or certain segments of the game, and it really just makes the whole experience a lot more worth it. So now that I got that out of the way, that was probably like the biggest tangent that I will go on about the game. Everything else will most likely be like smaller bites of my thoughts. So I guess the second part would be the art style and soundtrack. I wanted to pair those two together because I feel like they're kind of synonymous, especially in a game like this, because wow, the artwork in this game is absolutely breathtaking. Like, once you step into a lot of these different areas, you can definitely tell why this game took so long to be released. Like, everything is just crafted nearly like to perfection, and I just can't get enough when it comes to exploring all the different areas throughout Farloom. And that was one of the main reasons why I grew so attached to Hollow Knight, was not even like the boss fights or the difficulty, although those were satisfying in their own right. It was just the exploration that really grabbed onto me, and just seeing all these different environments just kind of converge together into something absolutely beautiful. And the soundtrack also very much helps in that department. Like, they've really upped the ante when it comes to the quality of the art style and the soundtrack, because it still has that Hollow Knight feel, but you can definitely tell it is a major upgrade compared to the previous game. A lot of the experience that the devs took from that game, they put into this game and then some. There are so many absolute bangers in this game, and I don't even think I've listened to even like a fraction of them, considering where I am in the game. And it's just something I can't wait to, you know, get more of once I play through this game even further. And I guess while I'm on the topic, I can talk about the size of the game. Like, this game is absolutely massive. It really like dwarfs the original Hollow Knight in terms of how much content there is in the game. And I know for a fact that I haven't even scratched the surface of what the game has to offer. But once you get to a certain part of the game, you can just tell that the experience is a lot bigger than what was either advertised or what you have seen prior. And what's even crazier to me is the fact that Team Cherry decided to be so goated and released the game at just $20 US. $20 US for a game that is on par, if not surpasses, I'd say a decent amount of AAA titles. At least in terms of the respective genre that it's in. But man, there is just so much to discover in this game. Even the areas where you feel like you've explored everything in, you go back to them, there's probably something new that you haven't experienced. It is just so much fun just trekking through all the different areas, finding any secrets that are lying around, which is some of my favorite aspects of the game. And boy, are there a lot of secrets. But yeah, this game is very much like an absolute like treasure trove when it comes to all the things that you would want from like a Metroidvania-esque platformer. Now, let me talk about like the overall vibe of the game, at least in comparison to the original Hollow Knight. So, in the first Hollow Knight, it was very much post-apocalyptic. The areas were very barren when it came to life, aside from the enemies, and there were just barely any people you could really talk to. A lot of the storytelling was done through its environments, and just all the little clues and hints just kind of scurried around. And Silksong does the same thing. It definitely takes it up a level, but it also is different in a sense that there are actually a lot more people you can talk to in this game. Farloom is quite a bit more populated compared to Hollow Nest, and so there are a lot more NPCs and just characters in general that you can talk to and learn about the inner workings of the world. And I feel like that's especially done a lot better with the fact that our protagonist, Hornet, is her own character instead of just a vessel like the knight was. So a lot of her thoughts and reactions to a lot of the things that are presented throughout the world are just very interesting to take note of, because it not only builds upon her own character, but it also just gives a new perspective into how we can view the game. And I guess a little side note as well, like Hornet is an absolute savage in this game. Like, you can tell that she is a warrior through and through, and she does not take any slack from anybody. Like, she is ready to throw hands whenever willing, and, you know, absolutely love her for that. And this is another detail that I would like to talk about, because there are a lot more people to talk to in this game, is the voice acting, which not sure if it'll be one of the like main talking points of the game, but I very much appreciate how more complex the voice acting in this game seems to be in comparison to the original Hollow Knight, because you'll have a lot of characters that'll either do like some singing, or a lot of their, I guess, like language or like gibberish, whatever you would like to call it, is a lot more detailed. It seems a lot more thought out compared to Hollow Knight, and it just adds another aspect to, you know, that world building, and just makes the game feel a lot more lived in as well. So that is just something I would like to highlight personally, and just give Team Cherry their props for. Another little thing is that this game absolutely rewards you for trying to think out of the box, and it's something that I appreciated from the first game, but it is definitely doubled down upon in this one. because there were some times where I would have an idea. I would think to myself, there's no way they would add something like that, right? And I ended up doing it, and turns out I actually, figured out like a secret or like get some new dialogue somewhere. Now, of course, this isn't always the case, but it's just one of those things where it's like the game will kind of either put subtle hints here and there to, give your brain ideas for what you could do there. And then if you follow through with that idea, they will give you a reward for thinking that way. And I just hope there probably is going to be a lot more of those throughout the game, but it's just one of my favorite things to do when going around throughout a lot of these areas. Now, let's talk about the overall feel of the game. How does it feel to have the controller in your hand and play the game itself? And as brutal as it can be, this game, more often than not, is surprisingly very fair in the way that it presents a lot of its challenges. More often than not, if I either die or fail to complete a challenge, it's usually just on my own accord and not because the game just decided to like pull the rug from underneath me, so to say. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some pretty devious stuff in the game that can feel very unfair, and more often than not, they are. But I feel like a lot of those are ways to sort of keep the player on their toes and just to kind of expect the unexpected, because there is a lot of times where you just can't be too idle in the game, otherwise the game will certainly catch up to you and punish you accordingly for it. And this game especially rewards you from learning a lot of the mechanics and controls and even tools that it just gives you throughout. Like, it wants you to utilize everything that you can find or use to its fullest. And once you are able to do those things, once you're able to complete these hard challenges, a lot of these like trials and tribulations that the game imposes upon you, it is just some of the greatest feelings you could ever have playing a video game, in my opinion. So, as torturous as it may be, and probably will be more to come, I am looking forward to completing this game and just trying to discover as much as I possibly can about it. But with all of that out of the way, what are my final thoughts on Hollow Knight Silksong 1 week after it's been released? Well, if it wasn't clear enough already, I very much recommend this game. I absolutely recommend it. Even for people who maybe aren't as confident in their skills when it comes to tackling these more challenging games, I do think it is still worth it to give it a try, just because the payoff for learning this game and just giving it the time of day, and just most importantly of all, being patient with the game, which is something that I was struggling with personally, but I'm starting to get better at now. I believe anyone is capable of getting through a lot of the challenges in this game if they really took the time to learn a lot of what the game provides you and just sort of pace yourself accordingly. And even with difficulty aside, just the whole experience, seeing all of the artwork, hearing the soundtrack, is just something else to behold, man. It is absolutely incredible just what this team was capable of making. And once again, all of the hype that you might have seen throughout the internet for this game, all of the build-up, the anticipation for it, all of it led up to this, and the wait was for sure worth it. Any expectations I might have had for the game were already blown out of the water within like the first hour of me playing it. And then it just consistently kept getting exceeded the more I played the game. Also, once again, I have to bring up the fact that the game is $20 USD, which is insane for the quality that this game provides. Like, actually insane. So, yes, I feel like this game is for sure a must pick up. If you are a fan of platformers, if you're a fan of Metroidvanias, if you're a fan of just any games that provide a sort of challenge, or not even just a sort of challenge, like immense challenges, then Hollow Knight Silksong is definitely the game for you. If you are also into exploration and world building, then I definitely recommend this game for you as well, because that is one of my absolute favorite parts of both the original Hollow Knight and Silksong. And while I can't exactly speak too much on the story because, well, spoilers, and there's just a lot to unravel, I also think the story is shaping up to be something a lot more grander than anything I was originally envisioning. Now, with all that said and done, I'm going to give Hollow Knight Silksong a 5 Spinies out of 5 for its week 1 rating. I simply can't give this game enough of my praises, and I will probably have a lot more things to praise this game about even a month's time or two after I've played the game. So I just simply can't wait to experience more of it, and I believe anyone who might have had second thoughts about giving the game a shot should definitely give it a shot themselves. And that will conclude the third video of the 1 week later series. So I do hope you guys enjoyed this little discussion I had about the game. For those of you who have played the game for yourselves, let me know what are some of your guys' favorite things in the comment section down below, or even just maybe some gripes you might have with the game as well. Like, I feel like a lot of the gripes this game could have is due to its difficulty, which is actually being addressed by the developers themselves in a patch that's coming out, I believe sometime this week, at least for PC. But I feel like if you just kind of took a step back and just kind of understood what the game is about, and the fact that you're probably going to be dying over and over and over again, then I think you'll have a lot more of a fun time. But yeah, that is enough rambling from me. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing to the channel. It would really mean a lot to me. And yeah, I will see you guys next time. Take care, y'all.